Hello. Thank God. Okay, cool. Ah, Mike wasn't working on both ends. John saw it. Oh. Oh, he was going like bop 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 bop. So I thought he was saying stuff. We're good. Yeah, I had no audio on either end. But I did a restart and it's okay. So whatever. Stupid work computer. Hello. Yeah, well, it's stupid. Oh, I mean, whatever. Honestly, it's not that big a deal. It should be Juicy 50 2024 because it is the list for this year, but whatever. It's honestly not a big deal. Just have to fix it afterwards. No, that's fine. It's not a biggie. Not a big deal at all, my friend. That's okay. If you really feel you're gonna fuck it up, it's fine, honestly. I do. What the hell was that? You're like, trust me, and you swallowed like a mouth of snot. Jesus, this is disgusting. Oh, pick which one is it? Pick a lane. Um. Okay. All right, and yeah, I think I'm all set. Let me just post on my socials that we're live. It, it looks good on my end. Whatever you fixed. Yo, so did Raw really only have 3 matches last night? I was looking at the results for the Sanctity of the Juicy 50 and saw that and I was like, no fucking way. But alas, alas, it was stupid. Oh, oh well. What? What's wrong? All right, I respect that. We'll talk about it in like 2 minutes. Don't worry. Don't you worry your little heart. You should get that checked out though. You should get that checked out though. I'm just saying if it's that little, you know. Uh, yeah, I'm posting on Twitter, but you can go. You can go. Go. Oh, go. I'm good. Uh-huh.
Hello
I heard.
and welcome
Oh,
everyone to another episode of the Sharpshooters. As always, I'm your host Danny and Juice. How we doing tonight, Juice?
it's me. I'm doing good. It's a big episode, one of my favorites of the year. I'm
This is
really
all about you.
excited. It's not all about me.
It's
It's
all
about
it's
it's
all
about the 50 on the list,
Juicy's
and
50. All right, this is a
yeah, I'm looking
juicy
forward to it.
episode. I really don't have to be here, but I'm here for the fans.
But I need you here.
I
All right,
need
let's
you.
do this. I'm
All
good.
right. So, as always, on our Tuesday nights, before we get started, we're going to do some housekeeping. Thank you to Accept the Win for being our musical, what do we call them? Our musical
sponsor.
sponsors.
They sponsor us. We support them. Of course.
Love it. And hopefully we get some more of their music back up on Spotify. I heard there were some issues there.
Friends of the show.
Hopefully you guys can get your music back up, or most of your songs back up there. Pretty dope that we can still get some. And if you guys have yet to do so, please throw us a sub. If you have a Amazon Prime account, you can follow the text over there. There are some steps on how to use it. It is free for you. Still gives us some money. Helps us pay the bills. Helps us get some nice new graphics like you see over here that our producer has made. And we want some more of that, so we need some help. Please help us out. Without further ado, though, it is Tuesday night, which means it is trivia night. Juice, what you got for me?
Yeah. Let's do this. I think I got a good one for you, because I think this one, we'll get to it. I think it's a good one, though. So, after our episode last week where we did our crystal ball, looked into the future, I thought about one of my predictions, one of my guesses, pretty bold prediction, and I went back to go look to check my history on it, and it turns out I predicted that one of the world titles will be vacant by the end of the year. And I looked back, and in the past 60 years, that has only happened once, where the WWE title was vacant at the end of the year.
At the end.
What year was that?
It had to have been the year Flair won the Rumble, which would have been 92, so that means 91, the end of 91.
That's your guess?
That's my final answer.
All right. Well, there you go, Danny. I'm proud of you. You got that one right.
Nice.
Got that right. That was very good.
I was like, what other? I'm like, if it's before that, I don't think so. So I don't think you would ask me a question that far back. I'm like, Royal Rumble. It's the only thing that makes sense.
1972. No. No, it's funny because I saw it and I was like, this is going to be too tough for him to guess. And then I remember 91 led into the 92 Flair thing. And I was like, he'll remember. He'll get it. So
Fair. Thank you for that.
There you go.
Appreciate it.
Nice. Good. Well done. All right. So it is time for us to dive into the Juicy 50. So if anybody that's here, you're a wrestling fan by now, you understand every year there's numerous lists out there for year-end this, year-end that. PWI does their PWI 500, their PWI 100. I'm here to do my Juicy 50. This is the 50 wrestlers who had the best year, in my opinion. This is based off a variety of criteria. It could be the win-loss record, the amount of matches, the impact they had on the year, accolades alone. So it's a variety of things that could make somebody make the list or not. So we'll see. We'll see how you feel, Danny, when I present the list. Obviously, if you have any thoughts or anybody here in chat has any thoughts, throw them up. Let us know what you think about my list and if you think anybody would be differently. I did ask some people on social media this past week what their top 10s would be, which I found very interesting. Some people had people on their list that were not on mine at all. Some of them had people that were way higher than I have. So we'll see how this plays out. And one last thing before we dive in, just to give you a few little factoids about the list. So we did this last year, and I checked before I made my list of 50. Before I ranked them, I did go back and look to see how it compared to the previous year in terms of men versus women and AEW versus WWE. And I figured, I watched less WWE this year. I was very down on them. It's probably going to be very skewed. And I looked, and I shit you not, without even thinking about it, the men and the women in the AEW WWE this year, it's the exact same number breakdown that it was last year. So it ended up staying pretty balanced. I won't say fair, because you may still think it's a little bit unbalanced, unfair, but yeah. So I just want to throw that out there so you can know before we dive into this, before you start thinking it's more men or AEW than last year.
So I feel like because of our recent betrayal by our ex-host, Matt, since he's moved on to his family and doesn't care about us anymore, I feel like this heel role I really liked it. So as we go through the list tonight, I hope you've I'm going to be a WWE stan and try to give them more love on
Hmm.
purpose.
Well, that's just insincere on your part, playing a role, as you say. What happened? What happened to realism? I don't appreciate this.
I'm
Um,
giving them a peek
all
behind the
right.
curtain.
So, all right. So, one last thing before we dive in. Now, one final last thing. I promise.
You said
Any
last time.
any predictions, guesses on your end? Anything you think, or how would you have done anything at this
So
point?
I
Like, if
want
you
to
want to
do
give it,
like more broad guesses than like, oh, I think you put him number one because I don't know who I think
good.
you put number one. I think
Go
in
for
your
it.
top 10, I want to say top
Mhm.
10, you have no more than 3 WWE wrestlers. So
Mhm.
7
Okay.
at least in your top 10 of AEW. Um
Okay.
I want to say also in your top 10 you have I want to say you gave them some love. So I'm going to say you also have 3 women in your top 10.
Hmm.
Um
Hmm.
cuz I think they had a good
Okay.
year. And I'm interested to see where you have current champions. Like where as your end of the year if that mattered to you with their current championships and stuff like that. Um
Yeah.
so
A
yeah,
lot of that depends on when they won it, as well, and
and
also strength of reign. Strength
this
of
is
reign. How often
individual
they
wrestlers,
defended.
right? Not tag teams. Like
Yeah. So last year, yeah. So it is all individual. So last year when I did like FTR, I did Dax and Cash each
yeah,
got their own
that's what I
spot.
thought. All
So
right.
everybody, it's all individual people. No tag teams got a single spot.
So then
So
with that being said, I don't think tag teams as a whole are going to make a lot of it. So I'm going to say there's only going to be like 2 tag teams total.
all right.
In the
Well,
top
let's
10.
see. I'm gonna share my screen here in a moment so we can get everything ready on your end to see properly. So look away in case you see any slides.
Well, I mean,
Well, to start,
no, I can't see your
look
screen
away.
until oh no, it's too small. It's okay.
Look away. All
All
right,
right,
you're
you
good.
ready? Hold on, let me see what I can
Yep.
do here. No, I don't like that. Oh, we might need the producer to come back down and fix something.
All right.
There
This
was
is it.
another
The
view
moment.
there was the last time we did this that I liked better. Oh wait. There we go. That's what I liked better. Yeah. Producer can come down and fix that in a second. But for now, this is good. And we'll go with this, and then we're gonna have to shift
Okay.
this over a little bit, but that's fine.
Let's say it might end up. Yeah, it might end up blocking a few slides, but we'll see.
No, he'll come down soon.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to let me get on the right screen actually. So and then just a heads up, I'm not going to be able to read chat as I'm going through the slideshow. So if anybody's commenting, Danny, I'm leaving it on you to call out comments.
No problem. If my screen goes black, that's just the producer coming down and fixing it. My mic's still on, just screen's black so you don't see him.
Okay. Well, I won't even see it.
He's
So
on screen
cool.
personality.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, the 2024 Juicy 50. Here we go. Starting off with some honorable mentions. These are people that did not make the Juicy 50 this year. We have Harley Cameron, Beast Mortos, and the Outrunners from AEW. And honestly, win-loss records not great, but I think they all had outstanding years. I think they both stepped up in big ways to get over, and I think they deserve some recognition. And on the WWE side, I have Randy Orton, Solo Sikoa, and Tiffany Stratton. And Stratton was tough, but when you really look at her year and break down her win-loss record and her accomplishments, she literally won Money in the Bank, and that's it. So I had a hard time really putting her on this list just for that one
No,
win all year.
and that's totally fair. I hate Solo Sikoa, so I don't care about Solo Sikoa. Randy Orton, yeah, Randy Orton didn't really do much besides some big storylines, Outrunners, Beast Mortos. I agree with everyone, and Tiffany too. Tiffany hasn't won a big title
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Money in the Bank is great, but until she cashes that in, it doesn't really matter. It's just an accessory. So I agree with that so far.
Yeah. All right. Now, next up, I want to show some people from the bottom 25 from last year that did not make it onto this year's list. So these are some drop offs from last year. This is their spot from last year. And yeah, they are not on this year's list, in my opinion. I did not think they had a good enough 2024 to stay on. Sky Blue got hurt. Saraya, not a great year. She had a good thing with Hater going, but that was kind of it. Juice Robinson, injured a lot, didn't really get a lot to do. Trish Stratus, Asuka, Julia Hart, started the year as champion, but didn't really like have a good reign. After that got hurt, disappeared for a while, just came back now. Carmelo, very disappointing in my opinion. Ilya got hurt, didn't do too much on the main roster. And then yeah, same thing with kind of the same theme. I mean, EO started the year. Was that?
Lots of injuries. It just sucks. Like literally,
Yeah,
the whole list is just like, oh, what could it have been if you just had 5 more months each of you?
yeah, and Hater. I mean, she's still kind of finding her way. I think getting back, and then EO started the year as champion, sure, but then lost it to Bailey and then faded away. Like I don't think she's done anything of value.
Nope.
In my excuse me, in my opinion, was her tag team
Well,
matches, which
none
haven't
of Damage
mattered.
Control is of anything of value, unfortunately, as of late. Hopefully, the shakeup changes that.
All right. Speaking of shakeups, let's get going with number 50, which I'm sure is going to thrill our viewers and yourself, Danny. At number 50 on the Juicy 50, Roman Reigns.
Oh God, great.
Now,
Whoop-de-doo,
some may disagree.
Basil.
Some may disagree with this. Now, I know he's only 4-2, barely wrestled. He was WWE champion for the first 3 months, lost it to Cody at Mania. Then he cried for 4 months, disappeared, returned at
Cried for
SummerSlam. That
4
was nice.
months.
But like honestly, I mean, we kind of know what we're getting with Roman here. His notable matches for the year: he had the 4-way at the Rumble, he fought Cody at Mania, then War Games. Besides that, it very underwhelming. I really struggled to even put him on the list, but I felt like he needed to get something, I guess, for everything with Mania and The Rock. So Roman at 50.
Yeah, but see, I don't. I feel like that's just storyline you put him on for, and not for actual like. I don't know. Like he wrestled even at the start of the year, he didn't wrestle like a bunch of matches. So
Yeah. Well, I know he only wrestled 6 matches, as you see.
I know
mean,
total. I'm talking about the start of the year. So like because in my opinion, the last few matches are in the same vein as Orton, where if you're not going to put Orton on this list, Roman does deserve on this list. I think Roman got the slight edge because of him starting out as champion in the year, but again, he only wrestled like 1 or 2 matches at the start of the year, then lost to Cody. So like,
yeah, it's purely for the impact. Again, I really didn't want to put him on, but here he is at 50.
All
So
right.
moving on, number 49, Hologram. Having a better year than Roman Reigns. That's right, I said it.
I mean, 15-0.
Yeah, listen, I mean, he is his debut of the gimmick. He was only active for 3 months of the year, though, so he didn't really have a full year. Only had 3 months of the year. But you know what? He went 15-0. Clearly, there were plans for him to maybe win a title eventually or do something more productive in Ring of Honor. But 15-0 is a big deal. Clearly, there's love behind him. He was getting immensely over. So I had to give him some love here. His notable matches. I was
shocked at how much I liked him. So I agree. I'm fine with Hologram.
It's also the first like legit like I feel like original character Tony's creating.
Yes.
He's making his own like luchador. So
yeah.
Next up at number 48.
Oh, we
Becky
got the
Lynch.
She
so now
dropped
something
23 spots. That's what I assume
Thank
that
you.
negative 23 means.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. So that is something new this year since we have a previous list to go off of now. I will have the pluses and minuses for any wrestlers that were on last year's list that moved. If you don't see a number, it means they're a debut on this year's list. So yeah, Becky moved down a lot. A rougher year. I mean, she started off hot. She won the Chamber. Then she lost to Rhea at Mania when she was sick. But then for whatever reason, they gave her the belt 2 weeks later on Raw instead because, God forbid Rhea could take a loss. Becky only held it though for 1 month and then put over Liv. So then Liv got it. Then her contract ended and she's been gone since. So, honestly, a decent first quarter of the year. So that's why I felt like she deserved to be on here, but not a great.
Yeah, at least she won a title. So, I mean,
yeah,
that gets her a spot. I agree.
Yeah. Next up, her hubby, Mr. Seth Rollins, dropping 34 spots. Another bad year for the couple.
When CM Punk mocked his laugh last night, I actually died laughing. That was really, really funny. And then the rest of that segment sucked.
I saw that clip. I didn't see the rest of it. I just saw the laugh, though.
That was so funny.
But yeah, Had a great year, 4-5-1. Clearly was very hurt. Fought through Mania season barely. Not even the season, just fought to get to Mania. Began the year as world champion, held it for 3 months, did nothing during those 3 months because he was hurt anyway. Helped Cody finish the story at Mania, and then he missed 3 months after Mania with the injury. So I mean, honestly, yeah. Again, another one where he was the champion, so I gave him the love for the first 3 months, but like
Jay
rough for him.
DeFalco
Hard year.
has said one of the dumbest Mania entrances I've ever seen. And now that he reminded me of that, I believe you should have moved him down even further.
Was that the Peacock one with all the people dressed like in New Orleans things,
so,
right?
Yeah, it was terrible.
Yeah. Oh boy. All right. Moving on. At number 46, Adam Page. Moving down 12 spots. 12-1, not a bad record. Lost his mind, and then he burnt down a house. Whose house?
Still crazy.
Yeah.
I love the
obviously,
mustache, though, so I think he should be higher because of the mustache.
I mean, that's not a good reason. But, yeah, I mean, he had the huge feud with Swerve. The Swerve feud is what defined this year for Page. Now he's doing stuff with Jay White, which is pretty sweet. But
now, honestly,
yeah,
in all seriousness, arguably feud of the year, right?
Sure.
Can be argued. Wouldn't that put him higher? Or is it? And I'm just asking: is it lack of championships that was a determining factor in like putting him lower?
Not really. I think it was just his frequency of being around. Also, he wasn't around the whole year. I mean, there was like a few months where he was off too, and the record's kind of mid. It's not
that's
like
fine.
Yeah, so
for sure he's picked up some big losses lately also, so like that's not been in his favor. Jay DeFalco says, I still say his character work from day one of AEW to now is one of the best character arcs in all of wrestling. You could argue possibly like TK, maybe not an original, but because of AEW really became a bigger version of himself.
Yeah. Well, he certainly could. All right, moving onward. Number 45, Kyle Fletcher. Debut on the list. This one was a little tough, but I stand by what I did because 17-15, not really a great record to scream at. Oh, by the way, something I didn't mention, I just wanted to put out there. These records are for AEW and WWE are strictly their like TV pay-per-view records. I'm not including house shows. Anything that was not televised is not on here. So that's mainly for the WWE people, but just something to keep in mind. Also, this is purely the AEW records. I did not include the Ring of Honor records unless it's exclusively a Ring of Honor talent. So just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, Kyle Fletcher, 17-15, not a great record. Started the year as Ring of Honor TV champion, held it for 6 months, but honestly didn't really do anything during those 6 months with it. So like, yeah, cool, but didn't do much. Only reinvented himself recently in October after turning on Will Ospreay. And he's killing it right now in the classics. He's coming out huge, ending the year, but it's just hard to like really put him any higher with the full year in there.
I 100% agree with that, and I think if this is next year, he's in a skyrocket. Like, I can't wait to see next year's comparison to this year. But this year he's done great, but 17-15 is 17-15. Like, respectfully.
Yeah, and I mean the two wins with Ospreay and Okada are huge because they were both clean.
Sure. I can't
so
wait
it's coming like,
Thursday to talk about Saturday, but that's another story.
We'll get there. All right, next up. Rhea Ripley dropping 28 spots.
Mommy.
Number 44, 7-1-1 record in the year. She began the year as women's champion, held it for 3.5 months, got hurt, relinquished it, was gone for 4 months, kicked out of the Judgment Day for being an abusive control freak that no one liked. And then she came back to do the Twin Towers thing with Damian Priest. Yeah, I said what I said. And yeah, it's honestly, I mean, it's been a very frustrating year with her and her booking. I hate it, and I don't think she benefited or put anybody over this whole year. Like, everything was to the detriment of somebody else, and that hurts. So Rhea drops big time for me.
And the big problem with that is it's not even that it's been so like hot and cold. It's only been one feud this whole year, and that's so stale to me. Like
Yeah.
she's really just feuded with Liv.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, no, I 100% agree with this. Terrible.
Yeah. Speaking of terrible, next up we have we have Damian Priest dropping also 34 spots to number 43. So not a great year for the Terror Twins. This one I might get some heat for. I know I'm a hater, but I think a lot of his stuff was to the detriment of others, and I don't think any of his stuff truly got over. He began the year as Raw and SmackDown Tag Team Champions, which again, crazy to think about. Beginning of the year, they were still two combined. Held them for 3 months, did nothing, lost them at Mania. Then he successfully cashed in the next night at Mania to become the champion. Held it for 4 months and not one banger. Notable matches? I have no idea. You tell me. But yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, the accolades are there, so I kept them on the list. But honestly, I think he had a terrible year, despite everything you're reading. Tell me I'm wrong. It's okay.
So I don't disagree. Sorry, this mic I feel like just got so close to me. I don't disagree, but I think he should be slightly higher because he did get over for a little bit.
Did he?
The problem is that again, and I don't agree, and I agree with you. I didn't like a lot of that Judgment Day stuff. I didn't like a lot of storyline. I'm glad that's kind of coming near to an end, it looks like, and hopefully they kill it sooner rather than later. But for what was happening, for everyone who was enjoying WWE and still is enjoying WWE, he got over for a lot of people. A lot of people did want to see him win. Damian Priest is, still kind of a fan favorite. He still gets very cheered. So I do think he deserves to be a slightly higher because it was a meaningful moment. But I don't disagree that he had a down year. Like when I say slightly higher, I'm not even saying breaking out of the 40, just maybe like number 40, just to give him like a nice number because it sounds better. That's literally what I mean.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But yeah, not great. So next up at 42, we have Jade Cargill debuting on the list. 21-5 in 2024, a much better record than I thought she would have, honestly. But debuted at the Rumble itself, won the women's tag titles at Backlash with Bianca, only held them for a month. Won them back then at Bash in Berlin, and they're the current tag team champions 3.5 months running, even though she's out injured right now because she put herself through a car. So, yeah, a good record, but honestly, I put her lower despite the record because I think she was carried in a lot of her matches, and she was booked well, but I don't think she deserves to be any higher than this for her first year.
I totally agree with this. I kind of want her lower, but looking at the stats, I can't justify putting her lower. I just don't like her. I just don't think she's a good wrestler. Bianca is light years. Like every Bianca, Asuka, Liv, Rhea, shit. I'll even give Nia Jax that credit. Like everyone is light years ahead of this woman. This woman is terrible for wrestling, and she still gets pushed like she's John Cena, and it's the worst.
Oh, no, that's Rhea Ripley, but I digress. All right, moving on. Number 41. Speaking of,
Hey,
we got Nia
told you
Jax,
slightly better.
which was tough, but I had to recognize the strong booking around her despite the record. She won the Queen of the Ring in May for the title shot at SummerSlam, won the title at SummerSlam. She's the current champion right now at 4.5 months. I haven't seen a lot of her TV stuff. I refuse to believe any of the things people are saying, but apparently she's having a very good reign, and she's actually doing really well this year. I've only seen the pay-per-view matches, which I've listed here. So, yeah, I had to give her a little bit of recognition, but I still think she sucks.
She does. I do agree, though. The storyline part of the reign, I have enjoyed. The wrestling part of the reign, because it's Nia Jax, I have not enjoyed. But no, she has had like a fun reign. This Tiffany Stratton stuff, the Cancel Ray stuff, and for the Cancel Ray stuff alone, I like the current storyline for her because like it's giving Candice some story and it's giving Candice some spotlight, which I think she deserves. And I'm interested
Speed
to see
champion.
the payoff because the payoff is hopefully Stratton getting pushed and Nia putting someone over, which would be pretty dope. That's what you hope, but I don't know.
Well, that's until Charlotte's back. Moving on.
Ugh,
We're gonna rip off the
thank
Band-Aid
God she didn't
here.
come back Saturday.
We're gonna rip off the Band-Aid here and
Uh-oh.
get to number
Uh-oh.
40.
Band-Aid.
The one, the only CM Punk at 40. Now again, this one you might get a little bit of flack for this one. Only 3-2 in 2024. He was injured in the Rumble match, out for 6 months, so he missed half the year. But truthfully, in my opinion, I mean, yeah, we're talking about Paige and Swerve, but Punk and Drew's right up there with feud of the year. Victorious in the trilogy of matches. All 3 matches were amazing. So I think the trilogy alone is what's carrying him getting on the list, and I think it was huge for him and for Drew. And yeah, then he won at War Games with the Bloodline. So I got Punk at 40.
This is where I'm going to argue a little bit that you're CM Punk biased because Adam Page, more matches, arguably a better feud, maybe not, I don't know. I like them both very well and I can make an argument for either one, but arguably a better feud. And again, just has done more this year than CM Punk. So if we're just going by feud and record, Page should definitely be above Punk. Now, does that mean Punk gets lowered or Page gets raised? I don't know. I think Page gets raised personally, but
I'd argue they've done about the same.
What? He's wrestled.
Well, they both had a like, defining trilogy
matches as CM Punk.
Yeah, but I'm talking in terms of like a defining trilogy of a feud. Like besides the Swerve, if you take the Swerve feud out, what has Page done this year?
Him and Jay White literally right now are in the middle of a feud.
Okay,
and,
right now,
actually wrestling matches and have done pay-per-view matches for their feud.
Okay.
Just
either
saying.
way, yeah. All right. Well, that's why it's my list, not yours. So moving on, number 39, we have Eddie Kingston.
Ooh,
dropping.
I miss Eddie. That just reminded me that I haven't seen him in months.
Yep. Well, that's why we do the Juicy 50 also, because this gets you ready and myself ready for the Shooty Awards, which is coming up in 2 weeks here on the show. So if you're a fan of the show and you're watching us, check us out in 2 weeks. We'll be doing the Shooty Awards, where we give the best and worst of the year. And this is a good little refresher to get you ready for your nominations and your votes. So Eddie Kingston drops 21 spots this year. Big drop, but it's because he missed, he's missed a big chunk of the year. So 6-5-1, began the year as the Continental Crown holder, had AEW, Ring of Honor, and New Japan Strong. Lost 2 of the 3 belts after 3 months, was injured in the match where he lost the final belt after that. Still out. So another one of those ones where it was a very hot start. He had the match with Danielson at Revolution. And then from there, the no ropes last standing match where he got hurt against Gabe Kidd. So I think it's a good spot for him. He had to fall, but deserves the love for the beginning of the year.
I love it. I do like it, especially because, again, I think winning titles should put you a little bit higher on these lists. And he had a low number of matches, but the title wins and the significance of like the first Continental Classic and like really making it meaningful and like people are drawn into it because of last year and stuff. So I agree. I like it.
Alrighty. Next up, number 38, Kevin Owens, dropping 17 spots. Truthfully, once I like really started settling down on the list and the slides, I kind of wanted to move him more down, but I didn't. I left him where he is, but his record is not good. He teamed with Orton most of the year, feuded with Logan, got sucked into the bloodline stuff. He got stabbed in the back by his friends. Like a good story year for his character, but that's it. So I this one I'll kind of take the L on and say he should be lower. But
I actually don't agree. I think he's in a good spot because he's wrestled a lot this year, and I personally put more stock in the championships and the number of matches when you talk about like a wrestler of the year or like a top juicy list of the year. I'm looking at like what they've done throughout. So like some of the lower ones, like we talked about, have been there for like parts of the year and wrestled in small matches and small feuds, so they should be lower. Kevin Owens has been around all year. Kevin Owens has been doing everything and been involved in everything all year. He's been honestly arguably the best part of SmackDown because for a while, until recently, and even recently, but I'm saying some stuff is actually kind of getting better for them. But he's been the best part of SmackDown for a while, so I like this. Maybe even higher, I'd argue. Maybe.
Wow.
Let's
Okay.
see who else is on the list.
All right. Next up at 37, we have Jay Uso. Dropping 26 spots.
Oh, no.
From last year.
Oof.
22-9 on the year. So he had a decent record.
This year.
He was a pity 1 month mid card title reign to appease Rikishi. Stunk up WrestleMania 40.
You hear that, Rikishi? Come on the pod. Talk to Juice.
All right, bring it on. Let's go. Stunk up WrestleMania 40 with his brother Jimmy. Woof. Yeah, I'm sorry, but he got over doing his Heat thing, but he became a shell of himself. He's a very talented wrestler, but he's regressed.
I agree.
And yeah,
I think
I did him a favor.
What do you mean by regress? Not his talent. He's just the character.
Oh yeah, his promo ability and character ability is all bundled up now, hiding around this Yeet persona.
Oh yeah. Okay, I
can't.
Yeah. I understand what you mean.
Yeah,
agreed.
And even when he wrestles, he's wrestling to the Yeets, and when you get to that point, you're losing your skill.
Agreed.
So yeah. Next up, number 36, Kazuchika Okada. 16-9 on the year. Signed with AEW in March. Won the Continental Championship that same month. Still holding it and defending it right now in the Classic. And he was held down by inferior talents during his reign. And luckily they're not there anymore. And now he's doing his thing in the Classic. So a nice quiet year for him. I do hope he can get away from the middle finger and the bitch stuff. Yeah, it's funny for the people, but he's better than that. So
I think once he loses the belt and they let him go away and come back and he's not with the Elite anymore, then he's like the dumb bucks, like Jay DeFalco says. Then that's when bitch stuff will stop.
Yeah, fingers crossed. All right, next up, number 35, Adam Copeland, dropping 7 spots from last year, so not far, but it's not that different than his previous year when he would miss a lot of time and was between the both companies. 13-2 on the year. He won the TNT title in March from Christian, held it for 2 months, and then relinquished it due to injury in May. He's still out because of the injury. He was feuding with Malachi in the house before then, kind of getting something going there. Maybe he was going to take over it. Who knows? Maybe they were going to do something with Garcia beating him for the TNT title. That seemed like it was kind of in the cards. But yeah, I think he had a very strong first half of the year, and I think the second half was going to be very good. But unfortunately, the injury kind of messed it up. So he had to drop a little bit, but I think this is a good spot for him, kind of in that range.
Yeah, I agree.
Range.
I like it.
Yeah. All right. Next up, Christian Cage.
Emmy. Jay DeFalco says Emmy nominated Adam Copeland. Just wanted to correct.
Emmy nominated.
Yeah.
Wasn't it a children's Emmy? Those don't count. I'm asking. I'm pretty sure it is. Christian Cage, just that little bit better than Copeland as usual, but only dropped 5 spots compared to the 7 that Copeland dropped. Christian was 8-4 in the year. Began the year as TNT champion, held it for 3 months, won the trios titles all by himself, of course, held them for 1 month. And then the same night that he lost the belts, he won the Casino Gauntlet at All In, and he's walking around with a guaranteed world title shot. And I found it very interesting when I saw his record last year. It was 6-6, and this year it's 8-4. Contract where he legit wrestles 12 matches a year, once a month, because it's 2 years in a row now. He's done 12 matches. I mean, granted, he's about to wrestle. Well, he's about to wrestle, I think, this week. So maybe that's wrong. Either way, I find it very interesting that he wrestles the same amount of matches. But yeah, so I thought it was a nice year for him with the TNT and the trios titles, and now he's got this world title shot. So good year for Christian. Wanted more, honestly, but it's a good year.
I agree. I like that too.
All right, number 33, Jay White. 17-6 on the year, a good year. Dropped only 3 spots, not that far. But he had a good year with belts. Didn't do too much with them, unfortunately. It was a little bit sloppy with the Acclaim, that whole storyline. But facts are the facts. They won the ROH Trios titles in January, held them for 6 months. And they won the AEW Trios in April, held them for 3 months. They were stripped of all the titles after Jay White got hurt. Came back 3 months later, and now he's feuding with Paige and Mox and all those people. So I thought it was a really nice year for him. The injury, it didn't help, but otherwise, nice year.
Yeah, no, I agree. I like that the championships always are good for me. I didn't like the storyline, but that's not his fault. So like it.
Yeah. Or was it? All right, moving on. Number 32, Thunder Rosa. Now,
Interesting. All right.
some might disagree, but
I
we have to keep in
mean,
mind this is a bounce back year. She missed all of 2023. She was injured for a long time. Finally came back, had a quiet year, but it was a very strong year, especially on the Collision side of things. So if you're not watching Collision every week and Rampage, you're missing a lot of this. The trilogy with Deanna, where Rosa won the final match, was pretty solid. I don't like Deanna, but they were all good matches. Very nice final match as well. She's challenging for the AEW Women's World Title at the end of the year. And she had a great match with Harley Cameron on a Collision, the Texas Bull Rope, as I said, with Deanna. She had a nice match with Tony early on in the year, a Dynasty for the title. So the record's good too. So I mean, again, not a loud year, but I liked her year, and I was really happy to see her back in the ring.
so I will say this is your juicy bias coming out a little bit. That's all right, but it's true.
A
Only
little,
had
a
one
little.
significant feud, hasn't had a title win, hasn't really been involved in any other significant feuds besides that. Good record, not anything against that, but I think for someone
Mhm.
who was on the list last year, hasn't won a belt, and had one mid feud, not even like a great feud, like we just said, like it was a good feud, but not great. I think this is pretty high on the list for her.
Well, it's 32. I don't know. I don't think 32 is that high. I thought it was
I don't think
generous.
she should be
But
at bottom 10.
all right. Well, moving on. Number 31, Red Velvet. So now this one you're not going to get. This is the Ring of Honor side of things. The
That's fair.
13-3 is strictly her Ring of Honor record, not her AEW record.
Gotcha. Okay.
She won the ROH Women's TV title at Death Before Dishonor in July. Current champion, so we're coming up on like 6 months now. Stir it up, baby. That's it. Red Velvet, a very nice, strong year. She's gotten a lot better in the ring. I always liked Red Velvet, but she's gotten better in the ring, more confident in the ring with herself in various ways. And then it's all there. I mean, in terms of the matches she's had with
Yep.
Athena, Diamante, Billy Stark. So very good year for Red Velvet. Very deserving, I think.
Yep. Won't argue this one. I don't want Ring of Honor, so I'm going to take your word on that one.
Next up at number 30, Sami Zayn.
Interesting.
I got him dropping 24 spots, 16-11-2 record in 2024. He ended Walter's Intercontinental title reign at WrestleMania 40. And honestly, after that, it's kind of it.
That's it.
I mean, he held the belt for 4 months. Like, okay, and he lost it, and just I don't know. He's back to the bloodline stuff. Just, I don't know. Not a great year compared to last year when he was like all the stuff with Owens and the tag main event. So had to regress.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Yep. Next up, number 29. We got Bailey
Oh,
debuting on the list. Was not on last year's list. And she was around last year. I think she just didn't really do anything and didn't have like a good record. But 16-6-2 this year. She won the Women's Royal Rumble, and then which is a big win. And she won the Women's Championship at Mania 40. Held it for 4 months, and then kind of like Sammy, didn't do anything. Like it was kind of like that big first quarter push, and then all right, like you got the belt for 4 months, and she had that one good reign against Naomi and Tiffany at Backlash. She fought Mako, excuse me, in Japan, the house show, which we watched on a previous episode. If you want to go back and watch, it was our our match reviews that we did. It was pretty fun. But yeah, I think that's a decent spot for the Rumble win alone and the women's title win. But not besides that, not a good year.
So I will say, I will argue. I like the spot for her. Not arguing that. I will argue though that she's been a lot more involved because you just don't watch SmackDown as much. She's been a lot more involved in like TV and storylines and stuff the entire year. She's been a good side character for the whole Bianca, Naomi, and Jade storyline. Like she's right now one of the top suspects that might have taken out Jade. Like she's one of the top 3 suspects, I think. So there is stuff that she's done throughout the year. She's had some not notable feuds, but she's been involved in some of like stuff with Tiffany Stratton, some stuff with Nia Jax. She's been involved with the Women's Championship. So I would argue that she's had a pretty good year. Just
quieter
compared to how it started.
That's fair. Yeah, it's been quieter then. Yeah, all right, that's fine. Moving on, number 28, we have Athena. This one was hard for me, but I stand by it. She dropped 26 spots. She was my number 2 last year, and 15-5 on the year. She's been the ROH Women's Champion for two full years now, still champion. But this weird thing happened where I think she must have gotten injured or tweaked mid-year, and they didn't announce it, even though they gave her the boot, like for a while, and it kind of hurt the reign, and like it was a very weird time. So she's had a decent year. There's still a lot of matches there that were good. The 2 out of 3 false tables with Nyla Rose. She had a match with Giselle Shaw in Canada. Abaddon, there's a Halloween match. So good stuff. And she's still doing career-defining work, but it was hurt. This year was hurt because of that. So we'll see how things end with Billy Starks this weekend. But yeah, dropped her to 28.
And again, another one where, like I said, I don't watch too much Ring of Honor, but I love Athena, and I just wish I watched her more. But good spot for her. I'm going to trust you with this.
Yeah. And by the way, we're going to get to number 26, and we're going to take a commercial break, so our viewers know, and we'll come back and round out the second half. But next up, we have Billy Starks at number 27. Debut on the list, 18-2 on the year in Ring of Honor. The inaugural ROH Women's TV Champion. She won it in April, held it for 3 months. Now she's challenging for the ROH Women's Championship to end the year. I think this was a strong year for her. Still young, still developing, but I think she got much more confident in the ring with her character. Still needs some work backstage, but the matches with Queen Aminata, Red Velvet, and Lady Frost in Ring of Honor, just a good year for her, getting a lot of reps in, so I think it's helped.
I love whenever someone wins an inaugural title. I think that's like an awesome year for them. With that being said, I now realize that I believe Michin should have been on the list over Roman Reigns at number 50.
Okay. All right. Last up before the commercial break, we have Joey Samoa.
Oh, my boy, where's he been? He got put through a wall.
Samoa Joe, dropping 12 spots, 12-2 record. Began the year as AEW World Champion. Held it for 4 months, lost it to Swerve. From there, he teamed with Hook and Shibata for a bit before leaving to go film Twisted Metal and do some other stuff. I think like Yakuza or whatever. But yeah, he had a very strong year. A match with Hook, Swerve and Page Revolution, and Swerve again. Then Jericho with the Street Fight where he got put through the wall. So yeah, the AEW World Championship alone gave him a stronger spot than he probably should have had.
Well, yeah. He didn't have. He also had a good reign. I think he defended the belt a lot and had a lot of good matches with it. So no, I like the spot for him. Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Commercial break time, folks. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stick with us, and we will get to the second half of our list.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, please don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone, and we are back. Juice,
All right.
back to your 50.
Let's do it. So before we start the top 25, I got a few more drop-offs for you. These are going to be some bigger names. These are all the people that were in the top 25 last year that dropped off of this year's list. So I
Entirely?
guess you could
Oh.
say, yeah. So I guess you could say these are some spoilers because these are names that will not be coming up in the top 25. So we have, well, top 30. We have Dominic Mysterio, Ricky Starks, FTR, Chris Sabin, Austin Theory, Finn Balor, Naomi, Kenny Omega, Alex Shelley, and last year's number 4, not on the list at all, MJF.
Hmm. I
Any
think
thoughts?
I think I agree with almost everyone except for Finn and MJF. I don't think they've done so little to get off the list entirely. If they went to like the bottom 10, I think that would have been fine. But like Finn won a championship this year technically. I'm not saying the reign
I'm
is
not.
I'm not
I'm not giving that.
saying the
I'm
reign
not
has
giving that reign any credit.
Okay, that's fair,
Yeah,
but
it
that's
gets no
also
credit.
biased. He did
I
to get.
love Finn. I love Finn Balor, but
I'm
that
just
reign is
saying he
awful.
technically has a reign. It was a terrible reign, but he
Yeah.
technically had a reign. Not everyone's reign that you put on this list were great reigns. Let's not pretend everyone had a great reign this year. Um,
No, no.
okay, and
I'm saying
MJF.
no. You're right. No, they
Oh,
didn't.
yeah. And then, so that's what I'm saying. From 17 to nothing, while he did win a championship and he has been on TV all year, I think that is a little bit of a stretch. And MJF, same thing. He has had feuds. He has had matches. Some bigger feuds. Again, not a good year. Not arguing that, but I'm not saying. I think minus an injury, he shouldn't be off the top 50. But that's just my opinion.
I mean, he's missed more than half the year, and
So have a lot of
truthfully,
the guys on the list.
well, I'm getting there. He's missed half the year, and truthfully, before he even turned heel in like July, he was still coasting that first like 2 months, coming back. So like they only gave him the title because of the Osprey thing for the hometown win. I just didn't like his year. I don't think his year was very good. I don't think it was deserving of being on this list. So
All right,
I like MJF, but I think this year was not good for him at all.
it's fair.
So
I will argue. I think they
hopefully,
both had better years than Roman Reigns again.
hmm. Oh well. Moving on. Now, number 25. We have the icon, Sting. 4-0 in 2024. Retired undefeated in AEW at 28-0 as the tag team champions with Darby Allin. They only held them for a month, but they went out strong. Notable matches were the tag team, basically all tornado tags with the Callis family, Starks and Big Bill, and those guys at Revolution. Yeah, not around for a long time, but honestly, way too iconic of an end to not put it on this list in any way.
I agree with that. Definitely biased putting him in 25, but I'm fine with it because I love Sting, and I would put him.
I literally put him in the middle just because I was like, like
That's what I'm
it
saying.
should be like, yeah,
I don't know. You can argue that he could be higher. You can argue that he could be lower. The storyline by itself was great and iconic, but at the same time, he only wrestled 4 matches. But he won he won the AEW Tag Team Championships, and he retired as champion. But
yeah,
yeah, you know what I mean. So it goes back and
yeah.
forth. I think right in the middle is a good spot, just to
It's kind of
please
why,
both
yeah.
sides.
Yep. All right, next up, number 24.
Oh, I love it.
We got some conglomeration love incoming. Got Kyle O'Reilly debuting on the list. Returned just like Thunder Rosa after missing all of 2023. 27 and 18, a lot of matches this year, a good record. Found a home with the conglomeration. I mean, a pretty good resume. I mean, Roderick Strong at Dynasty, Copeland, Osprey on Collision, Cassidy, Sabre on Dynamite, Okada at Battle of the Belts, Copeland and Adam Cole recently on Dynamite. So no belts, but honestly, a very solid, strong year for him. I think I put it in somebody else's slide coming up, but everyone in the conglomeration, I mean, every week they wrestled on Collision or Dynamite, running the towns, like everyone loved them. So I think all of them deserve recognition this year for the work they did.
100% agree. I do think he should be a little lower, only because he hasn't had a significant storyline yet. The ones he's been a part of has been a part of other storylines, not his own. And with that and no championship, I think he's a little high. But I mean, I love Kyle O'Reilly, so I'm not gonna
Mhm.
argue too hard about it.
Yeah, he has some stuff percolating with Copeland. Then he got hurt, and he's kind of been on the outskirts of the Cole stuff. But yeah, I get
That's
your
what I'm
point. I
saying.
guess.
Like he's there,
Um,
but he's not.
yep,
He hasn't been the main
all right,
focal point yet, which I hope he
yep.
gets to.
All right, moving on. We're gonna go number 23. Sticking with the conglomeration, Mark Briscoe, 24-14 on the year. This is only his AEW record. His record would be much higher and better with the Ring of Honor stats included. He won the ROH World Title for the first time in his career. Held it for 7 months of the year. Formed the conglomeration in June. The new greatest stable of all time. I hate to break it to you, it's the truth. And then notable matches. I mean, Eddie Kingston Supercard, the TNT title 6-way ladder match was awesome. Strong at Death Before Dishonor. Kyle Fletcher recently on Collision we talked about where he beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Yeah, a very good year for Mark Briscoe. The ROH World Title gave him the bump over Kyle. Because Kyle, this one and the next one, I flipped them all around a lot. I couldn't figure out who I wanted where, but I put Briscoe here.
I like Briscoe here. Big championship, long reign with the conglomeration. I think that's a good call. I like it here.
Mm-hmm. Next up, 22, Roderick Strong won the International Championship in March, held it for 3 months, 27-15 on the year. A much better resume of matches when you look at the pay-per-view matches. Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, Will Ospreay at Double or Nothing, Swerve on Dynamite, Hook at Grand Slam recently, and then MJF at Full Gear. He had a great year last year with the neck health stuff, and I think this year was kind of like a reward for him with the international title and everything with them feuding with the conglomeration most of the summer. I thought it was a good year for Strong.
I would put Briscoe over Strong. Only because I put more weight into the longer title reign, and it's technically a world title over the international championship. Even though it unfortunately doesn't always get treated like that because TK is a bastard.
Well, yeah, that was part of my coin flip toughness, like moving them all around him and those other two. But I the body of work won out for me. Yeah. Next up, number 21, Claudio Castagnoli.
Interesting.
Only dropping 2 spots, so not far. But and by the way, I did not look at the records from the previous year until I was finalized on this year's. Just so you know that.
Cool.
And our viewers. So it wasn't like I was looking at last year's numbers and going, okay, now where? It was completely fresh, and then I went back and looked. Cool. So just wanted to make that clear. Claudio dropped 2 spots, 34-10 on the year. Won the AEW Trios Championships at All In with Pac and Yuta. Current holders at 4 months running. Turned his back on Bryan Danielson. Does not deserve any happiness in this world. So he's lucky I put him where I put him. But looking at the notable matches and honestly just his full body of work, Claudio's had an amazing year.
Yeah.
And I think even without the Trios titles, I think this is still a good spot for him this year.
I love the year. Every match he's ever in, I'm always watching. I'm always tuned in on this storyline. While I'm not totally invested in it, it's not from their point of view. It's actually from the AEW point of view that I'm not happy about. So everything he's doing with them, I'm loving so far.
Yeah. All right. Getting to the top 20. Here we go.
Shoot.
Liv Morgan at number 20. Now, I know you and probably a lot of people are going to disagree with this one. But 11-10-2 is not the record you want as a champion in the year 2024, especially when you've had the belt for 7 of those months. The Liv Morgan Revenge Tour, though, is officially running longer than the Eras Tour, so congrats to her, I guess. She's won the Women's Championship in May at Queen of the Ring, current holder for 7 months. She won the Women's Crown Jewel Championship. Cool, I guess. I don't really know. That doesn't mean anything. And one little factoid I thought I'd share. She's the only person to pin Rhea Ripley since May 2022. 2.5 years.
I actually fully agree with you on this. I think I would have put her lower if it wasn't for the notable wins, like you point out. And as much as I hate Crown Jewel, if I'm being unbiased, that is something notable that WWE says is notable for whatever reason. So I agree with Liv Morgan here. I think that's a good call.
And if you've noticed, Danny, I've tried to, as much as I've swallowed some bitter pills, I've also, I've made some, I've accepted some I haven't wanted to do, and then I've done some I wanted to do. So a little
Hey,
give and take, you know?
I feel like I've been very honest with you and agreed
Yeah.
when you thought I wouldn't, and disagreed when I think I'm supposed to.
Yeah. I'm just putting it out there, It wasn't like I was full bias. There are some names on here I did not want to put, and I still put them. But either way,
100%.
I could,
Listen,
if I
I
went
would
full
personally put Nia
bias,
Jax on there personally.
my point. That's
I'm
my
upset you
point.
put Jay Cargill on there, but I understand why.
Yeah. All right. Well, some still didn't make the list,
Roman
as you
Reigns
know.
should not have.
Next up, number 19, Darby Allin. So
Interesting. All right.
if you have been paying attention, I believe this is the first name on the list that's moved up from the previous year.
Oh, I see the green.
Well, I'm just making sure our viewers at home are with us and paying attention. Darby Allin moved up 12 spots from last year, 17-7 on the year. Won the tag team championships in February, held them for 1 month with Sting. He was hit by a bus and did not climb Mount Everest as a result. Came back crazy quick for Double or Nothing, regardless. Royal Rampage winner, back-to-back years. And then he broke my heart, putting Grand Slam title shot on the line against Moxley at Grand Slam. So that was fun.
That was sorry the downfall of the dumb storyline. But anyway.
Yeah, but he's had a good year though. He got the tag belts. The Rampage winner was big for him, and now he's doing some great stuff. But I think he had a good year, so
No, I like
think
him.
he
He's been
deserved to
involved
get the
in some
love.
very major storylines throughout the year. He's all over here. Even when we thought he was going to be gone for a while, somehow he wasn't. So, great.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
All right, moving on. Number 18, Chris Statlander.
Holy shit.
Huge year for Stat, moving up 22 spots.
Oh,
Turned
man,
on
that's a big jump.
20-8 record on the year. She's been fully healthy now. Last year she was only back for like half the year with the injury. Took a little time for her to kind of get her footing again. But this year, fully healthy. Turned on Willow, Double or Nothing after months of friendship. So that was a long-term storyline for the two of them. A good storyline. Unfortunately, not the best ending. But she forgot she turned heel 4 months later and is babyface again now with no Stokely. But a good body of work. I mean, the good match at Revolution against Julia Hart and Sky Blue. The street fight as well against them. Willow, she fought her twice, and then the all-out street fight, and then the match with Mercedes. So while there was no title there, a great feud and a great body of work. I think she deserves to move up as much as she did in 2024.
I think she moved up too much. For someone who didn't have a major win this year, I think she moved up too much.
She beat Willow twice. She technically won this, like if you're counting the matches. Willow won the last one, but Stat won a bunch of the more of the matches. Either way,
I guess.
Yeah. Moving on. Number 17, Daniel Garcia. 21-8 on the year. Won the TNT title in November. He is the current holder. Found his footing in a breakout year, re-signing with AEW. Just a nice, solid resume building it back up. He fought Swerve early. Then he had the cage match with FTR. I think it was a 2 out of 3 falls, or no, it was an escape the cage kind of match on Collision. That was awesome, if you recall. Copeland on Dynamite, Christian at Revolution, Ospreay, MJF at All Out, Jack Perry recently, and then Kazuchika Okada on Collision. They had the draw. So nice record, nice body of work. Won the TNT title. I think this is a huge year for building him up, getting him over.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a little high, but this is your list, and it's making sense with everyone before it. I will say the only thing that's a little disappointing for me with him this year is that he was such a forefront of the AEW war against the Death Riders, and now with the Continental Classic, I feel like he's completely kind of like forgotten about that part. He could do both, which annoys me that they don't let him do both. And again, that's not him.
Well, yeah, that's a whole can of worms we could get into, but we could save that for Thursday if we want.
That's all I'm saying. Because I feel like I feel like
I'm with you on that.
Him like at this spot if they let him do both, and then like now you have him a part of two big storylines at the same time with the championship. Now you're really showing us that he can handle all this. That's all I'm saying. But I like it.
I'm not going to argue that point. I'm with you on that. Next point, 16. Drew McIntyre.
Ah,
This was a tricky one, but I think I landed okay with where I have him. 13-8 on the year. Won the men's Money in the Bank. Won the men's Elimination Chamber. And I'm curious to go back. I didn't go back, but I'm curious if anyone's ever done that. Won both in the same year, like calendar year, not like
yeah.
But he won both. He won the World Heavyweight title at WrestleMania 40. Only held it for a few minutes though. And then of course the CM Punk trilogy we talked about already. So I think this was a huge year for Drew. I wanted to put him higher, but I eventually moved him down a few more spots. Like I think at one point I had him at like 9, 10, 11, but I moved him down a little bit. Just because of the record's not that great and he only had the belt for a few minutes. But like he stepped up huge when Punk got hurt and Seth was hurt, and he made something out of nothing. Like so,
No,
he deserves to
I
be
agree
high
that
on this
he had a
list.
great year. I agree with all this accolades. I love it. I am interested to see. I know that I would put him over some people that you have in the top 15. So I'm interested to see who.
Yeah, no, it's very fair. So here we go. Number 15, L.A. Knight.
What?
Yeah, 18-7-2 on the year. He won the U.S. title in August. Held it for 4 months. Honestly, I mean, I'm not comparing them in talent, but in terms of like the build and the year for a talent, it kind of makes me feel like Daniel Garcia, where they both kind of had that build and rise and that rising tide of give him a belt, give him that belt, give him that belt, and then they win it. And now, like, then he kind of rejoiced and like rolled with it. If you get what I'm saying, I hope you do.
No.
I'm not saying they're the same talent.
I 100% know what you mean. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Just keep going.
Yeah, no, and then the matches. I mean, he had the feud with Styles at Mania, which was awesome. A rare typo by me at Crown Jewel. Sorry about that, everybody. Carmelo Hayes and Santos, that whole feud, which wasn't as much about him. And then Logan Paul at SummerSlam where he beat him, and then the recent match with Shinsuke where he lost. So I think it was a very strong year for LA Knight, and maybe he is a little too high, but I think it was important for him to finally get the breakout and win the belt because you know what, a lot of people don't. They never get the trigger pulled. So
yeah, I mean, he is too high, but he did have a good year. I agree. I don't think his title reign has been great, or was great, or good.
yeah,
Only
that's fair.
because again, partially his fault, but partially not. Just the whole like it was mainly focused around Carmelo Hayes, him and Santos, and that kind of like took a lot out of it. So it was kind of a crappy title reign that centered around two people who you knew were never going to win the belt, and then hopefully him and Shinsuke can do something with. They should have, but we knew they weren't going to, especially Santos.
I thought they would have.
So yeah,
what do I know? Oh well. All right, next up, at number 14, Orange Cassidy.
My boy.
Last year's number one.
Deservedly.
Dropping down to 14.
Deservedly.
It was hard. It was hard to do it, but last year was something epic. This is still a great year. 44-16-1, ton of matches. Began the year as international champion, only held it for 2 months, but then from there he kind of went through the intentional downswing. He lost Trent, he lost Stat, Chuck was out hurt, he lost all of his best friends, found a conglomeration to kind of rebuild back up a little bit. So had some nice quiet stuff in there. Taven, the Texas Death, the strong stuff at Revolution, Zack Sabre at Forbidden Door, and there it is. Every conglomeration multi-man. I mean, honestly, they're all amazing. They're so much fun to watch, all of them. Sure. And now he's stepping up into this role with Mox. So, I mean, it was hard to drop him, but he had to.
No, I agree with that. Definitely had to. It wasn't the same as last year. This year is more about him. Literally, I think, which is funny, and I think this kind of represents it, is that this year was showing how tired he was from last year, and like all the work he put into it, and just like he can't be the same, and
tired
he's
man,
down and tired, and it reflects it a little bit. So I agree.
Yeah. All right.
Still wrestling.
Next up.
How many matches though? 60s, or 61? Jesus Christ.
There you go. There's math. All right, number 13, Willow Nightingale. Moving up 26 spots from last year. Huge year for Willow, in my opinion. 23-7 on the year. Won the TBS title in April. Only held it for a month, but still won the belt from Stat. And then won the CMLL Women's Championship in July. Sorry, she didn't win it from stats. She won it from Julia Hart. Won the CMLL Women's Championship as well. Held that for 2 months. Had the feud with Chris Statlander for most of the year. And now she's doing what she's doing with Mariah May recently at Wrestle Dream. Hater on Collision. The Falls Count Anywhere Goes with Sky Blue was huge. The stab match we talked about. Mercedes at Double or Nothing. So, very good year for her. I stand by this.
Best woman wrestler of the year just because of how much she was all over the TV and carrying the division for a big portion of it. So, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, number 12. Inosuke Takeshita.
Ooh.
23-7 on the year. Won the international title in October. The current holder. He also competed in this year's New Japan G1 tournament over the summer, which was huge for him. Notable matches: he fought Darby to kick off last year. Will Ospreay at Revolution. It was Ospreay's debut with the company. Fought Mox at Double or Nothing. The 6-way ladder match at Forbidden Door. The triple threat with Ricochet and Will at Wrestle Dream. And then he fought Mike Bailey and Josh Alexander in Canada. So just another year, just a great resume. He has the belt. I think it's been a huge year for him so far.
Yeah, I agree. I've really liked the year he's had, and he's been built like a superstar, and he's really shown one. So I love it.
Mm-hmm. Number 11, Jon Moxley. Moving up 22 spots. Some may think he should be higher. I think this is a good spot for him at 18-2. He won the IWGP World Title in April. Held it for 2.5 months. Didn't really do a lot with it. He only defended it, I think, once or twice in between, and there weren't really anything to cry about. Won the AEW World Title in October. He's the current holder. And then is he the mastermind behind ruining my Grand Slam? We'll find out soon, I guess. And yeah, notable matches. I mean, he fought Tetsuya Naito at Windy City Ride and Forbidden Door. They weren't really... The Forbidden Door match is not great, but it's notable because he lost the belt there. And then he took off like a month or two after that, by the way. Takeshita, Double or Nothing, Darby at Grand Slam, Orange at Full Gear, and Danielson at Wrestle Dream ending his career. So a huge year, but I didn't think it was top 10 worthy, just on the outside.
So this is where I would have put Drew number 12. I would not have put him above John. So I've been trying to keep track of where I would put Drew so far. And depending who your top 10 is. I do agree that Moxley hasn't had a top 10 year, but he has had a great year. So I'm fine with Moxley here.
Yeah. Well, because that's the thing. If you take away the IWGP World Title for the 2.5 months, like he didn't really do anything that huge until like August when he started doing the Death Riders thing. So yeah. Next up, number 10. We're hitting the top 10 here, Danny. I wonder. I imagine the names are starting to swirl in everyone's heads. Who's left? Who could be here? Who could be where? We'll find out a little bit now. Top 10. Braun Breaker.
Wow.
At number 10. 23-7 on the year. Won the NXT Tag Team titles in February. Held them for 2 months. Then they lost them, and he immediately debuted on the main roster in April. He won the Intercontinental Championship in July. Held it for a month. But then he won it again in October, and he's current holder. Notable matches against Sami Zayn in Money in the Bank at SummerSlam, Jey Uso on Raw, and recently Sheamus and Kaiser at Survivor Series. So, and this is NXT and WWE records combined. 23-7 though, great year for him. You can call it a rookie year if you want on the main roster, but I think he's been very protected, and yeah, I think he's very deserving of having the spot in the top 10 for the year he's had.
I really like this pick. I really agree with it. Nothing more to say about it. I like it a lot.
Wow, look at that. That must mean it's bad. Oh boy. All right, next up, number 9. Bianca Belair.
Okay.
Moving up 13 spots into 9th place, 27-9 on the year. Won the women's tag team titles in May, held them for a month, won them again in August with Jade Cargill, current holders. So it's a good chunk of the year as the women's tag team champions. And I put it here because, quite frankly, I think she's done a masterful job of carrying and protecting Jade. And I mean that respectfully. I don't even mean that like in a totally nasty way. But I think she's had a very giving year, if that makes sense, where like she's got a great record. I still think she's pretty protected, and I just think it was a very good year for us. I think she deserves to be here.
All right, you convinced me. Based on the explanation, I'm good with that at number 9.
Yeah, no, that was my thought process. I mean,
I'm
the tag light
serious.
titles. Yeah, word. All right, next up, number 8, Mercedes Moné.
Oh shit, I like this.
12-0 on the year. She returned from injury to win the TBS championship in May. Current holder. Won the New Japan Strong Women's Championship in June. Current holder. Signed with AEW, as we can put together at this point. Notable matches she's had with Willow Nightingale at Double or Nothing, Stephanie Vicaire at Forbidden Door, Hikaru Shida at All Out, and Chris Statlander at Full Gear. And just a nice, solid resume. Only 12 matches, but like when you have 12 matches and like 11 of them are great, I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah.
So I think she's had a nice breakout return year with this new persona, which is kind of the same thing. But yeah, a good year for Mercedes, holding the 2 belts for that long. I think she's deserving of the spot at number 8.
No, like I said, I like it a lot. I think it's a really good pick. I think the impact she had and everything she's doing. She's on TV pretty much every week. I really like it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Number 7. Walter. Dropping 2 spots from last year's top 5.
Really interesting.
He was only 15-5 this year. Wrestled less this year than he did last. Began the year as Intercontinental Champion. Only held it for
champion. So when you're champion, you don't wrestle a lot.
Well, when he was Intercontinental Champion all last year, he did, but I'll digress. Only held it for 3 months in 2024. Lost it to Sammy, but then he bounced back like a month or so later. Won a King of the Ring. Then he went on to win the World Heavyweight title in August. He's still current champion. He's had the match with Sammy at Mania, the matches with Orton, the match with Cody at Crown Jewel. Yeah, I mean, still a very good year. He's at number 7. I just bumped him down a little bit because he wrestled a little bit less, and I just think the body of work isn't there. Like 15-5, and I only think
more.
Accolades wise, yeah, but like when you look at the body of work, like I can't think of any other match besides he got held down. And I'll say it, he got held down by Damian Priest a lot, like and like Jey Uso, like Sammy, Orton, and Cody. That was like really it in terms of like what I thought really helped him, and like I don't know.
Okay,
I think it's still a good spot. It's 7. He moved down 2 spots from last year.
I didn't say it was a bad spot. I'm just trying to think. Maybe
want to fight?
Maybe he moved up.
No,
he's a world champion now. So like that's better than Intercontinental Champion. I don't know if you know that. I
do know that. But it's the body of work, my friend. The people he's defended the IC title against versus who's defended the world title against. Not a great comparison.
All right.
Moving on. Number 6.
Not all your picks are body of work.
Toni Storm.
Oh.
Moving up 18 spots. What?
No, I'll say which one.
Oh. Moving up 18 spots from last year. Truthfully, I wanted to move her up more, but I made the tough call and I put her at 6. 23-2 on the year. She began the year as women's champion, held it for 8 months, and then she went out to wander the streets of the world for months, and finally returned a few weeks ago. Yeah, just a great reign.
Supposedly a time machine. It's as if she doesn't know where she is.
Yeah, poor thing. I'll help her. I can fix her. But yeah, Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, Mina Shirakawa, Saraya, and Mariah May, all great matches. So a very, very strong year for Toni Storm.
You gotta be careful saying things like that. You're gonna sound like that guy with Asuka. So just be careful.
What? Oh, I can. Yeah, that's Toni.
That's Toni.
No thoughts? Okay, number 5.
Sorry. I just made the joke.
It's
and I totally forgot. No, great year. I mean, Timeless Toni Storm was probably my favorite character this year, my favorite gimmick this year. I loved it. I loved the whole send-off with Mariah May. I think that whole feud was great. Timeless Toni Storm is forever going to be in my heart as a great character, and I can't wait to see what Toni Storm does now that she's back.
All right, time for the top 5, Danny. You ready?
Shit.
You got the names in your head? Who you thinking? There's only a few left. So.
Bro, I have no idea with your list anymore. Some names that should be on there aren't. Some names that should be higher or lower. We'll find out.
All right, number
I
5.
don't know anything.
Cody Rhodes.
Ugh.
Moving down 2 spots out of the top 3, still in the top
I don't
5.
know if that's fair.
20-3 on the year. Won the Royal Rumble for the 2nd year in a row. Finished the story at WrestleMania 40 to win the WWE Championship, and he is the current holder ever since. Started off the year feuding with Shinsuke Nakamura, had the Bull Rope match, then he beat Roman, defended against Styles there for a bit, then you had the Solo Sikoa stuff, and recently the Owen stuff with a little Walter in between. So a very, very good year for Cody. So still top 5 worthy.
Higher?
Well, I think the people that are above him had a better year than him.
A better year than someone who won the Royal Rumble, won the title at Mania, had a bunch of good matches, still the champion, still defending. I don't know. I don't know about this one.
All right, well, there's only 4 names ahead of him, and I feel pretty confident they all had very good years. So, yeah,
Okay.
Either way. Number 4, Swerve Strickland.
Okay.
Moving up 31 spots. 25-3-1 on the year. He won the AEW Championship in April. Huge moment for him. Held it for 4 months. Ascended to the main event level with this reign and breakout feud, and also as well with Adam Page. What'd you say?
Luke says Brody Broads, and I hate him.
Oh, wow. And then the body of work, notable matches. Samoa Joe, Adam Page at Revolution. Samoa Joe. Claudio Castagnoli as his first defense on Dynamite. Christian Cage at Double or Nothing. Ospreay at Forbidden Door, which was a huge turning point, at least for me as a fan of his. Danielson at All In. Adam Page with the lights out cage match and the needle in the mouth. So Swerve had a huge year. I can't see an argument for him not being in the top 5.
So, agreed. Now I'm interested because I do agree that Swerve. See, here's the problem. And this is where it depends what kind of fan you are, because you can argue Cody had a better year than Swerve, or Swerve had a better year than Cody, but that's because of the accolades of the individual companies. So that's where it gets a little gray on who you want to pick. I think based on who was projected to be the man and who came out of nowhere, Swerve had a much better year, and I think he just had better feuds, so that helps him out. I think Swerve should be higher also. So I think both Swerve and Cody kind of got a little skunked here and got lowered down.
I don't know, man. The top 5 is strong. Everyone.
I'm interested. I said so
all
far.
Right.
I think I already took back my Cody thing.
All right.
By saying Swerve was
number 3.
No,
Mariah May.
No.
Mariah May at
should
number
not
3.
Be ahead of Swerve and Cody, bro. No, sorry.
Yes.
No way.
She came 29-7 on the year. Started the year as Tony Storm's protege, waiting in the wings, playing her role. She just debuted with AEW at that point. And for me as a fan and the American audience, no one knew who Mariah May really was. For the casual fan.
100%.
So she has this whole story going with Tony. Everyone loves Tony and Luther and the dynamic of what they're doing. She goes on to win the Owen Hart tournament in July. Turns on Tony immediately after that for a huge moment. One of the defining moments of the year. You can't deny that. Then she goes in Wembley and All In, beats Tony for the Women's World Championship and is still holding it. And since then has had defenses against Willow Nightingale, Anna Jay, Mina, Yuka Sakazaki. Even before that, she was fighting Saraya and Shida. So she's had a very good year, and every promo she's cut has gotten better. And she's become this figure on AEW that a year ago, you wouldn't even think twice that she would be this and that person. So in terms of a strong year, I think Mariah May absolutely has knocked it out of the park as being the best women's wrestler among all of them this year.
And I'm fine with that. I don't think because of how much more Cody and Swerve did, I don't think she should be above them. Top 5, yes. I'm not arguing not top 5. I think she did have the strongest women's year of everyone, but Cody literally started it in January. Swerve literally started it earlier. Like they both did it.
So did she.
No. She didn't win the title in January.
Yeah, but it all was building up.
I understand that. I'm not arguing that, but I'm saying because they did it earlier and then they've consistently done it all year, I do think that you snubbed Cody and Swerve with that. I don't think she should be above them. And I think that's your Mariah. I think that's your Mariah bias coming out a little bit.
I love Cody and Swerve. They're in the top 5. It's not biased.
Okay.
It's not. This one's not. I assure you.
Okay.
They're all in the top 5. I think they're all. Well, I'm glad I didn't do what I was gonna do.
You want my opinion? I'm giving you my opinion.
All right. I almost made Mariah number 2. You would have fucking blown a gasket. So.
Probably. Who's number 2?
I didn't. Number 2.
Yeah.
Will
I don't
Ospreay.
agree that he had a bigger year than Cody or Swerve either.
Will Ospreay moving up 5 spots into number 2.
Sorry,
23. I'm going. Hey,
put Mariah ahead of him. No. I'm saying I would have agreed with you if you put Mariah ahead of him.
Can I go?
Yeah.
Don't interrupt. All right. 23-8-1 in 2024. Signed with AEW in March. He won the international title in May. Held it for 2 months. Again in August, he held it for another 2 months. And they had the notable matches. He fought Takeshita, Danielson, every Casino Gauntlet match he won. Strong, Swerve he put over in a big way. MJF, he had a huge moment there, winning it. Pac, the Bucks at Grand Slam with Fletcher, and then Fletcher again, putting him over. And again, it's another example of him a year ago not being with AEW, signing in March and coming in and owning the year in AEW and making a huge name for himself for an American audience and for AEW and just becoming what he is. So, like, while Cody and Swerve are still having great years, I think Swerve and Ospreay in that same way. Like, I'm thinking of who defined themselves in 2024, and I think Will was really that person. So I put him at number 2.
See, I kind of disagree with that because as someone who never watched New Japan, I knew who Ospreay was for years. They built up Ospreay so much last year that if you didn't know who Ospreay was, you just weren't watching AEW wrestling. But like Ospreay was already a big name coming into it. I don't think he did more than Cody or Swerve or Mariah. I think he should be, if I don't know who number 1 is, but out of the top 5, he should be the 4th one in that ranking, just because he didn't win a world championship. He didn't do it at the start of the year like the other 2 did. The storyline wise, I think I know who number 1 is also, and I think that's also, as much as I love him, I don't agree with number 1 either, Jay DeFalco. But I don't know. Again, all of these people had big years, but I'm just looking at who did what and the moments they had, and I think the other 3 had bigger moments.
Yeah, listen, the top 5 is interchangeable. I mean, it's really about the opinion of the person, and like, for sure. My big thing is that when I look back on the year of 2024, who will define it for me for what they've done in wrestling? And like Cody, it's been such a build, and yeah, he's still kind of going, and and Swerve kind of had his. That's why I think like guys like Swerve, Ospreay, and Mariah in particular, like just had a huge 2024 that they didn't really have in 2023, and that's why they kind of got weighted over Cody, because Cody was kind of already getting that year in 2023. They just kind of they ran it back, as Roman said no at WrestleMania 39. But I digress.
Before your number 1. The chat says Ospreay was treated as a big deal the day he got to AEW. Once he was full time, he showed he has that huge it factor. Freebird said for the number 1, is his name John Cena? And Jay DeFalco says Alex Abrahante is number 1. So those are the guesses from the chat.
Well, none of those are personally. None of those are correct, but
I think so.
It'll be very interesting to see where and how Cena gets ranked next year. But we'll see if,
I agree.
See how things look. All right. So, number 1 on the Juicy 50 is
big surprise.
American Dragon. Bryan Danielson moving up 7 spots into the number 1 spot. 29-4 on the year. It was his last year of full-time competition. He won the Owen in July, won the AEW World title in August. Only held it for 2 months, unfortunately, but the whole year was filled. I mean, Okada at Wrestle Kingdom to kick off the year. He fought Echicero on Collision, Zack Sabre Jr. in New Japan, put over Kingston Huge at Revolution, the Osprey match. He did Anarchy in the Arena. The Shingo match was pretty dope at Forbidden Door. That's a selfish throw in right there for me. The Swerve match at All In where he won the title. Nigel coming back, him fighting him. So I know we already broke down everybody else, but like this was his swan song, his last full-time year. He won the title at Wembley. He won the Owen. I think he's very deserving of the number one spot.
And see, I'm fine with this just because the more I think about it, besides him winning the world championship, even though the reign wasn't what we hoped it was going to be, the moment of him retiring, the moment of Wembley, like all those were big moments that he had multiple of during the year, along with the championship reign, along with wrestling all year, along with the full year. So totally fine with Danielson winning there. My top five, again, I think I would have put Danielson, Cody, Swerve, May, and then, Jesus, who do we just talk about? That was number 2.
Osprey,
thank you.
Wait, so you would have had Cody at 1?
Cody at 2. I would
so
love
who's
Brian
at
at 1.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, they're interchangeable. I mean, I was always set on Danielson at 1, and then from there it was Osprey and Mariah I was flipping on. And then from there I was good with the rest of my list where I had it. But
yeah, I just think if you have a significant like world title win and a reign, you do deserve a top 5 spot.
You got it.
Regardless of the company, as long as it's legitimate. And Cody's had a good reign. Swerve had a great reign. Bryanson, maybe not a great reign, but important reign, I guess you can argue. So yeah, interesting top 50. I agreed with I think most of it. So
do you think?
Good job.
This also goes for chat. I mean, yes, my bias aside or my feelings or whatever. Is there anybody you think I truly snubbed that I should have put in? I
do think Balor got snubbed for real.
Who? Oh, okay.
I do think he got snubbed. He's been on wrestling. He's been on TV all year. He's been involved in major storylines all year. Like him or hate the storylines themselves, he has been in the main event scene all year. He won a tag team championship. Again, awful reign, but still won a championship. Some people you put on there with reigns were, all due respect to Drew McIntyre, a few minutes. So, like, you included their few-minute reign, and I'm not saying anything. I would have, too, and Drew deserved his spot. I'm just saying, like, the guy won a belt. He is technically in charge of the number 1 stable on Raw at the moment. Again, awful stable, but that's the storytelling's fault, not Finn's fault. So I do think Finn was probably your biggest snub, in my opinion. But besides that, really, I think nitpicking some spots here and there. Most of the spots I think I agreed with overall. So I liked it.
Yeah, no, it was tough. I mean, it took me a while. It took me a long time. Like I think I made a draft like around July, like a halfway draft, and then I kind of revisited it in October, November, and then from there I kind of started playing with it. So
makes sense.
Took a bit, but yeah, I like it. I feel good about it, and I hope you all did too.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed that. A little bit longer tonight, but that's because we went through 50, and it was pretty good. If you guys have any comments, please put them in the chat. Otherwise, we will see you Thursday, same time, same place for our weekly wrestling review. Adios, everyone. See you guys on Thursday.
Bye-bye.
I almost ended us again.
About you, avoiding all the warning signs and and I can't find the strength to move. Well, is it too cliche that I wanna flow this way? Will the world fall down on me? Tell me now, there's one more chance to say, for the last damn time, you're up in overdrive. The way the story goes, I'm not your Romeo. Straight to move.